Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. I do some work for the HBAR Foundation, but the opinions for these market updates are all my own. We're just doing a quick market update this week. I'm looking at breaking up some of the content a bit since it's harder to reference back when I have 6 topics wrapped up in one. Still, there's some interesting things going on in the HBAR market, so let's get into it. All right, it's about time for a Stader staking update. We've gotten some new information, so I wanted to pass on what we've learned to everybody. Just as a recap, Stader staking is a liquid staking solution for HBAR. What you do is you send your HBAR to a Stader smart contract. It sends you back an HTS, a Hedera token service token called HBARX. Those HBARX accrue rewards, but the entire time you can move them around from DeFi platform to DeFi platform, trade them, and that's what makes it liquid, the ability to move it around like that. Right now, as far as what we're seeing on the platform, you're getting an APY on your HBAR of about 40%. Since April, you've accrued about almost 10%, 1.1 HBAR to each HBARX, and we're sitting at just about 600 million HBAR total value locked. And the higher we get that total value locked, the better it is for the DeFi space. A lot of people use that as a gauge to see how healthy a DeFi space is. All right, now on to some of that new information. Stader staking version 2 should be coming very soon. Version 1 started back in April, and that's when you could send your HBAR to the smart contract. They would send you your HBARX, and you started to accrue rewards. But it's not going to be until version 2 where you can reverse that process. You can send your HBARX to the smart contract and get your HBAR plus the rewards back. Now, they're not rushing things. Stader's not rushing things. They're going through a third-party audit at this point, and once they're done with the audit, they're going to publish the paper on the audit, and then they'll go ahead and implement that smart contract, and you'll be able to unstake. Again, we should see that in the next couple of weeks. The thing that's really exciting that we just learned about was the emission rate, or how much the rewards are going to be for July. And right now, we're getting about 668,000 HBAR per day in emissions, and that gives us that APY of about 40%. We just found out that that's going to continue into July. We're going to continue to get about 668,000 HBAR per day as an emission rate throughout July. So for the next 5 weeks or so, we're going to be seeing about 40% APYs. I know that high APY can make people nervous considering the things that have happened with Celsius and Terra Luna, but this is all backed by the HBAR Foundation. They're not giving rewards in dollars or USDC or something along those lines. They have the HBAR to give, and that's going to be passed on to Stader and then passed on to the people that use this platform. So either way, you don't have to be too nervous about it. I know, once again, talking about Celsius and Terra Luna and BlockFi and all the things that have made people nervous in crypto recently. When we're talking about getting a return on your crypto, you don't have to worry about that with this. Now, there are other kinds of risks. You know, there's the risk of just holding HBAR in general. There's the smart contract risk. There's custody risk, things like that. But as far as the rewards being able to be paid out, that's not as much of an issue. Stader staking has been a huge success, and what I'm really excited about is HBARX is going to start to be able to be used as it was intended in DeFi. We have a few DeFi platforms that are going to be coming online. We have Saucer Swap, we have HBAR Suite. I know we have a few DEXs that are in stealth mode that are going to be coming online, hopefully in the months to come. And you're going to be able to provide those liquidity pairs and pretty much double dip. You're going to be able to get your HBARX rewards while you're providing liquidity and getting rewards for those as well. So the HBAR ecosystem DeFi space is about to heat up, and I'm looking forward to it. Now let's take a quick look at the chart. At the time of recording, HBAR is sitting at about 7.4 cents, up about 10% on the week. Bitcoin is at 21,400, up about 5% on the week. Last week, we did a pretty deep dive getting into the effects of rising interest rates and quantitative tightening on risk assets, and more specifically, crypto and HBAR. From the comments I've seen, many people were thinking that crypto would protect against inflation, but I think it's more of a hedge against central bank profligacy. In 2020 and 2021, we saw central banks around the world crank the money printers into overdrive in response to the pandemic, and crypto was a beneficiary of that. Now we're seeing them reverse course, which is posing a headwind. Oil fell this week, easing fears of inflation, but also indicating that the pressure might be off the central bank to maintain its harder stance on inflation. And I think this is why we saw crypto and the broader markets hold up better. Granted, this was just a short-term move for oil, and the price action we saw on an unexpected crude inventory build is far from a trend at this point. Now, don't go looking for a perfect inverse correlation between crypto and oil. You're not going to find one. But I think the ease in oil prices early this week helped risk assets start this short-term rally. There was an interesting quote from a central banker discussing the recent crypto market that I wanted to highlight. Talking about the crypto downturn at the .0 Forum in Zurich, Bank of England Deputy Governor John Cunliffe said, "The analogy for me is the dot-com boom when $5 trillion was wiped off values. A lot of companies went, but the technology didn't go away. It came back 10 years later, and those that survived, the Amazons and eBays, turned out to be dominant players. I expect Hedera and HBAR will end up being one of those dominant players as the cream rises to the top." He went on to say, "Whatever happens over the next few months to crypto assets, I expect crypto technology and finance to continue. It has the possibility of huge efficiencies and changes in market structure." I couldn't agree more, and with Hedera being the most efficient network on Earth, it should be well positioned to be at the fore as we revolutionize those market structures. From macro to technicals, we also mentioned last week that HBAR might be setting up support at about 6 cents. This level was tested on Sunday and held. Just a few days later, our target for resistance, the Google spike high at about 8 cents, was also tested and rejected the ascent. It's a bit early to tell, but this may set up a range. That said, you can only put so much weight into technicals with the volatility we've been experiencing in markets lately. The really interesting stuff has been taking place on the Hedera fundamental front. This past week, we heard about the first DLT-enabled AAA game called Ashfall. It's being created by a gaming studio called Lithos, the founders of which were the driver behind some of PlayStation's biggest games. What they have planned and how it will use Hedera could set a major precedent, and I don't think the market fully appreciates what they're building quite yet. I'm confident that once use cases like this, Atma.io, and the Coupon Bureau gain traction, heads will start to turn. Admittedly, though, we need to see more than just announcements. Actually seeing these use cases translate into network transaction volume will be where the rubber meets the road. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, and comment if you appreciate the content.